All right, welcome to Rapid Fire Manufacturing. Today I'm with Jeff Kunkle. He is the owner of Dynamic Machine. He's got a extensive background in CNC machining, programming, CAD design, anything CNC related. So, Jeff, thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, yeah, you bet. It's great to talk with you, and enjoyed seeing some of your videos and watching just seeing what other people are doing and what they have to share. It's such an encouragement and challenge uh, to interact with people like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to share stories in manufacturing. And the last conversation we had, you explained yours. So I'd love the audience to hear that because I think it's really not only insightful, but it's inspiring. So if there's anyone out there that hears it, maybe that gives them that extra nudge to go out and start a machine shop if they've been in the industry. So if
Yeah,
you don't mind starting with your history and then how you ended up starting Dynamic Machine.
I started in this field in 1995. Went to college, studied architecture, studied computer science. Realized that college wasn't for me, and I dropped out and started working in injection molding. Basically, worked in actually running molding machines for a while, servicing the molds for a while, learning how molds were built, learning to run a Bridgeport, and just getting all these different experiences in tool and die, and started giving me a good taste of what is this industry like. And from there, moved on to actually did 3D printing before it was called that. Ran SLA machines back in the late 90s, and loved doing that. It was great, and in the process of that, got to learn about quoting because we're doing all these SLAs. I'm quoting parts. So I really got a good taste for what is it like to interact with the customer? What is it like to be able to put together pricing, have things not work out, have them work out, managing that whole process. And I just loved it. But I didn't grow up with a family that understood entrepreneurship. My parents were missionaries. I grew up over in Africa. So it was just not a thing, right? We didn't talk about it. We didn't know anybody that did it. And so I didn't have it in my mind that, hey, this is something you could do for yourselves. But I was tasting little pieces of it, and it excited me. So as time went on, I learned how to do design, eventually worked at another place and did programming. I didn't know how to run a machine, but I learned how to program, or at least I thought I did. And I did that for about 4 years. And then I went to work at another place and I got to run machines. And then I realized I didn't know how to program. And I learned how to become I'm going to say an okay programmer. It's not, a guy that likes to build a business and run a business probably isn't the best programmer because you don't like to sit and focus on something for too long. At least I don't. But it really did refine my programming ability doing that. And again, rounding out this picture, like I love doing all these things. Still not kept, realizing, okay, I need to go do this. And so worked in a fixture shop for a while after that, getting opportunities with interacting with customers all the time. And finally, with a kind of developing a bit of a side hustle, I working at my former employer. I was just out of frustration and then intrigue and interest. I need to be doing this for myself. And so I talked with my wife about it, that I wanted to do it. And we had 4 kids. One had just been born. And it's like, I think I was 41. It's like, this is a little crazy, like you're ready to take this step and just, I think in the Bible of Peter, looking out at Jesus on the water, he just walks out, right? And it's like, I kind of have to do that. I have to step out into something I don't know what's under there. Is it going to sink on me? So anyway, my wife and I prayed about it a lot. I kind of let it sit. And one day I remember coming home. It was in August 2014. And my wife, I walk in the door. She looks at me. She's like, okay. It's like, okay, what? It's like, okay, you can buy a machine. I'm like, what? I can, like, really? You're on board with us? We can do this. So anyway, ordered a $125,000 machine, ordered lots of tooling, threw money out the door left and right. Had a friend, older individual, who believed in me and wanted me to succeed. And so I gave him 10% of my company that was worthless at the time. He didn't care. He just had paperwork that said shares. He gave me some money. And that just gave me a little more of the breathing room to try to get things moving. He wanted me to succeed, 2.5 years later, I tripled his investment. I gave it back to him and bought out his shares. Just thankful for people like that who believed in me because, there's a lot of times in my life where, because I was never a good student, dropping out of college and that, I think people, ADD or whatever you want to call it, I have a hard time focusing on things. And I think that I experienced a lot of times where people are like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea for you. A little side story. When I was in college, I thought about lawn mowing business. First time I can really think of an idea of a business that would have been great. I think even if it hadn't worked out, but a great experience. And I started talking to people about it, like, hey, I want to try to do this. I get a little trailer, I pull it behind my Honda Civic. Because what I was
Mhm.
doing was putting my lawnmower in the back of my Honda Civic and driving it to houses and mowing them.
Yes.
I think I had like 4 lawns or something I did. And so the idea started rolling in my head, and people talked me out of it. And, I'll tell you what, when a young person comes to me with an idea, I'm like, how can I help you figure that out? Maybe it's not the right thing for you, but I love to do something and even fail at it. And out of that, I learn and I grow. And I think that so many people just stand behind that barrier of I'm too afraid to fail. And it's like with my kids, man, I just like, got to try. Failure is the best. It's kind of one of my slogans, right? So anyway, when my wife and I had the machine. I'm working 2 jobs, still employed, and it was difficult. I kind of was just looking for the sign, like, is it the right time to leave employment? And here I am with a business that's doing machining, working at a place where I'm managing machining. I didn't like that, right? That's a conflict of interest. Am I being fair to my company? I'm not taking their work, but it's not good for your reputation. And so I'm praying about it. Wife's praying about it. And a friend of mine that I reconnected with from former employment, working at a big company here in town, JR Automation. And he connected me with one of their guys that outsourced their work. And that guy gave me a job. I did it. Gave me a second job. I did it. Took some vacation time from work to do it. And I delivered the second job, and he said, I'm going to give you a job like this every week. He's like, I build companies like you, is what he told me. And
Take that. Yeah.
so for the next year, I did a job for him every week. At that point, I turned in my notice at my former employer, and I shook the owner's hand, and I said, I won't ever go after one of your customers. Promise. With him. Since then, they've shut down their business, the machining side of it. Just, trying to leave the best. That's one of the big things I try to encourage people, is just to make sure you never burn a bridge in these relationships you have with people, because I still have a good
Hmm.
relationship with them. There was certainly disappointment and a little bit of tension there with that, because I created a competing business. But I've told the guys that work for me, if you want to start a machine shop someday, just talk to me. We'll figure out a path for it. How do I help you go succeed with what you want to do? Because I got to do that.
That's
People
amazing.
helped
Yeah.
me do that. People helped me. And it's like, you want satisfaction in life? Go help people, go help them succeed. It's one of the greatest things, right? So anyway, that was 10 years ago in March that I left my former employer. And it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but really, really thankful I got to have the opportunity and do it.
That's awesome. So how important has faith been in just being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything in life, right? I wonder sometimes how people go through their day without a peace. I guess people find their inner peace through different ways. And, I have a friend, and he and I come from a different background now. So my starting point is that there's a God who created this world, and he has a plan for things, and I operate within all, that understanding. And my friend comes from a much more detached view. And so we debate this back and forth. And, do I believe in something? Am I just naive to things or whatever? But it is a peace when you know something and trust in that. And so each day that I go through is just knowing that the steps I take, ultimately, I want to serve my Creator, and I want to bless others
Hmm.
with that. And I find that that's an incredible thing, when you interact with people, that it draws people to you. And then there's a trust. If you look at our website, one of the big things that we like to just express to people is integrity. It's everything. You
Hmm.
want to trust someone. You want to know that you're going to do what you say. That's one of the big things we do. We promise a due date. We're going to do that. We're going to deliver you good parts on time. We're going to make mistakes once in a while, and we correct those. We make sure they're right. And I think it's just so satisfying to go through life when you have that kind of reputation, when people look at you and they know who you are and they trust that. So, and all of that foundation for me comes from God's word. And that's why that faith is essential to everything who I am.
That's amazing. Yeah. And like you said, too, I think customers will recognize that and be drawn to that. They might not even know the reason why until they meet you and then
Mm-hmm.
discover that.
It is, for sure.
Now, how do you see the future with everything AI and automation? Are you taking some steps to kind of address those?
I'm trying to learn and keep up. It's definitely it's an interesting thing as you get older too. Like I remember my grandfather when they came out with the pay at the pumps at the gas station, and he was so frustrated with that. He just wanted to pay cash for something, and this whole thing like prepay, and it flustered him. And I think that's interesting because there's aspects of that I'm seeing now for myself. I don't
Yeah.
like some of these changes. Frankly, I don't like AI. I do a lot of farming at home, hobby farming. It's not huge, but I do a lot of different things in regenerative farming at home, and I love that because I'm putting my hands in dirt. I'm working with animals.
Yes. Yep.
We have technology involved in that process in some ways, but at its core, like this is 6,000-year-old technology that I'm working with, right?
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed. I mean, to me, it's so real, and I love that. So that being said, I don't like AI. I have to find ways that I'm using it and integrating it into what we do. If I don't, I know what that means, down the road here. I won't be competitive. So I've been looking at, the software, particular programming. One of our big costs here in this business is generating our tool paths and generating good tool paths. So looking at, I've been following Cam Assist, Toolpath, trying to keep up with that. Just been evaluating some new software on the programming end, Fusion 360. Just testing that out since that integrates with Cam Assist to kind of further test that out. So yeah, definitely trying to keep close in that area. When it comes to other areas of AI, I'm trying to just pick up, and I'm interested to learn from people like yourself who you interact with. And there's an individual I'm going to be having lunch with, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, who does a lot with AI, just to glean as much as I can, because
Yes. No, absolutely.
I'm definitely behind on that, but I'm also recognizing it's kind of like watching it last year and then watching it 6 months ago and watching it now, even just in the last month. It's like, I don't know how you keep up with this. The rate of change.
I don't think anyone can
is
truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just that latest, what is it? Google's new video creator in the last few days. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I saw some videos from it.
Like,
Crazy. There's
what are
the end of the
what are
world
actors
type.
going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that is what.
So back to my, as I get older, my farming, man, that's a hard one to replace with AI.
Yeah.
You can't cheat honey. I keep bees. You can try to replicate it, but you can't do anything with that with technology to just create honey. The bees have to do it. So that's why I love working with them, and it's going to be there. As long as people want that, right? People want what's real. I have the thing that's real, and I love things that are real. I can grab onto and enjoy.
Yes.
But
what has farming taught you about your business or running your business?
well, one thing that's amazing about manufacturing, machining is I do get to control the variables really well. Farming is brutal. There's so many things out of your control. I've done everything right and had everything go wrong because you get one bad storm that comes through, or you get some plague of bugs. I have a blueberry field, and last year I had a terrible fungus go through my field because I'm trying to do organic.
That's terrible.
And so you can do everything right and everything still goes wrong. In machining, when things are going wrong, I'm like, okay, what's the cause? And then we can fix that so that doesn't happen again. We do that a lot here. That being said, I can't control the flow of work coming in. I guess with good sales and working hard, bringing in new business, I can bring more business in. But what we've seen in the last year and a half has definitely been a downturn. So that's not something I can control, other than it pushes me harder to go bring more work, find new opportunities.
Right.
So the difference in the two has definitely become clear. I guess it didn't really teach me anything, but just reminded me of something to be thankful for in this type of work that we do here.